Good evening, Free Enterprise fans. My name is Dathis. We are starting here for our Friday night community race, and I am joined in the booth by a plethora of fantastic people. First, we have the one, the only, she rocks Xenogears, Xenocat doing our tracking. We have the man who makes no such noise whenever he has a harp check going on, Harump doing our restreaming, and don't call him captain, he has earned his rank, Commander Leonhardt joining me as co-commentator. How you doing tonight, Commander?
Doing good. Glad to be here with the Meme Lord and the Vanilla Lord, Dathis himself. We've got a Blue Moon community race for you, just as we did on Monday. We'll be using the same flags for the upcoming Blue Moon tournament in ZZ5.
Indeed. Now, this is where we have a great departure from some of our previous tournaments. We've had the occasional boss hunt trickled in. Usually, Demas is the center stage of that, but instead, it's all boss hunts all the time, all night long, and that's exactly what we love to see.
Yeah, and it's a very different mindset if you're used to some of the other flag sets where you know from the beginning where you need to go. You just don't have the items you need to get there. Here, you could have to go anywhere. So the more you can open up, the better. You do have Force Hook as a flag, so since that's the way underground, that's one cheeky boss spot, King Queen Eblin, that is often the bane of a runner's existence on this sort of boss hunt. So that's one thing that you don't have to worry about, but it's still very much a different mindset.
Absolutely, and that was something that you and I were talking about in the booth before we went live. Is that some dips on the moon were really interesting. The cheeky boss checks, as opposed to doing like your full clears, are really interesting ideas too. And picking up that sort of information, that's probably going to be something we might see later on if someone does a early moon dive, or just some interesting different strats by comparison to the different that we're used to seeing. Like, oh, go through areas you have the power for. Maybe you find some hourglasses somewhere, as is very great items for some of those free bosses, as we have technically one free boss in the Water Hag. But yeah, we have a plethora of robes, we have dwarf, and we have some earth bosses too.
Yeah, darkness just opens up so many bosses, and like if you find it early on the overworld, once you have it and the hook in hand, there's very little you can't see. So it really becomes a question of, how am I going to tackle this? What order do I want to go after the bosses I can look at now? I think in the upcoming tournament, though, the seeds with darkness on the surface of the planet are going to be the really interesting ones. Here's hoping we have that tonight.
I'm gonna go for a little bit different. I want to see them have to go through the hook route. We do have our runners ready to go off here. And speaking of, we do have a great start. We have our Porum here, which is kind of she's an okay white mage. She gets berserk soon, which you kind of like that for most of your other fighters. And you have a guaranteed white mage, which is really what the most thing that you're looking for here. Edward, there are people who will love to see him there. Not a lot of people do. We have a whip for said person who also would love to see Edward, would also not like to see the character that is held by, though.
So Dark Imp's not one of our objective bosses. Dragon Whip, that's a whiff. Another interesting flag that's new to the tournament scene is See No Earned. The only characters we're going to get are free characters, so very early you're going to know all 7 characters in the seed. You can decide on your final party right then and there if you want.
Absolutely. And we have characters, runners doing very different things. Speaking of our 4 restreamed runners tonight for this race, John Burkhead, Solaris, Fiery Blizzard, and Kyros, thank you very much for them for showing off some talent. We have the top left and bottom right both going to Mysidia, finding another white mage and an engineer to build the seed. And we have Kyros and we have Solaris both doing a little bit of different area of looting. We have Bedward giving us a key item. Actually, an item.
Key item.
Key, specifically. And we have Kyros going to Edward's other hometown in Damsian proper and doing some looting.
We're starting to build up some potential for let adult Rydia hit things. We have Zeus Gauntlet, we have Dragon Whip. Let's just find a heroine robe and she can go to town.
Absolutely. So far, we have the Cecil solo strats partially online. That is a drains. And hey, look, there's our girl too.
Oh,
We have
hey,
Zeus
look at
Gauntlet,
that!
we have Rydia, and we have Sylph and
Oh.
Dragon. It's the Rydia show again.
I mean, it's hard to say no.
Didn't we
I
just have 2 weeks of scenes with her being the hero?
mean, honestly, we only need two more things. Ella and a Darkness Crystal. Because if there's any character in this game that wants a Demon Machine slingshot, it's Rydia.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the shenanigans you like. Though that is something I love to see. I'm a big fan of my boy Kane. That is Cecil. So we see 6 of our characters. We have Kane, Cecil, Rosa, Rydia. Almost a full vanilla team, to be completely honest. Um, yeah, just missing that boy Edge. But Porum and Eddie too. That's not bad overall. Again, you said we're missing a Tella, which would be really nice, but you've got
Sure.
some good Berserker strats.
Yeah. And
Oh no, and yeah, so that is our 7.
having the characters early like this, you can figure out what you're doing early, and you're likely to have a decent party. But you can by no means, and for having any specific character other than the character you see when you load, you can't say in advance, "Oh, I'm definitely going to get a Tella, so let's see if I can D-money." You're gonna get your party real quick, and you're gonna have to figure out exactly how you want to attack the seed with them.
Speaking of Commander, again, I'm going to pick your brain for the options here, since you've done more of these flag sets. You have your team of 7 that you can see. What are your 5 of 7 that you are personally going to take, and where would you first be going? I'm assuming Ordeals is one of your first spots you're wanting to do.
I'm taking the near vanilla party you mentioned, and I'd be an outlier and take Edward as my 5th.
Oh, that's very interesting. While we have the runner still doing some looting, we do find some silk webs though on Kyros' side. I think this is here in. Oh yeah, it's still in sorry, Troya. Troya has a lot of goods. So why would you be taking Edward at that point then? Like I'm very curious at that.
Right, so I've already got Rosa, so I'm not keeping Porum as a second white mage. I'm content with Rosa. So I'm ditching Porum. And so the other question is, am I keeping Sid or am I keeping Edward? Sid, I'm not gonna lie, he's got good hit points early, and I think I saw an Earth Hammer. That might be enough to sway me if that Earth Hammer wasn't in a shot, but it was looted. But as chat's pointing out, the spoon flag is on. If I can find a spoon, I can do spoon work things. Even if I don't find a spoon, there are a few bosses where having Edward on hand comes in handy. And right now, Golbez is the obvious one amongst the objectives I see, but there's also that evil wall. I mentioned earlier that Earth darkness on the surface makes things interesting. I'm a fan of getting up to the moon as soon as it's reasonable, like low to mid 20s, and checking that moon, face checking, seeing what bosses are there, and getting through the ones I can. Depending on the spot that evil wall is in, Edward could be the difference between clearing it right away or having to come back later.
This is very true. Also, I'm going to never apologize for the fact that every time I'm in this booth, I infect whatever restreamer is rolling a seed. This is my vanilla now, comrade. We have vanilla Antlion. We have an objective, nice and early, nice and easy. This is the. Oh no, sorry. Is this? Oh, sorry. This is Mist Game. Sorry. I got yelled at, so I assumed it was vanilla. Sorry, we were distracted by the commentary. I got yelled at. I assumed vanilla.
I think Harumph also thought it was vanilla too. That's fine.
Again, shoutouts to our
Can
retriever for trying to do some shenanigans. Was a missed cave check. That's very, very cheeky. That is our first objective done on stream. John Burke had 6 minutes in, and we have ourselves Antlion found.
Yeah, you can't skip. You gotta keep Mist Cave and Waterfall in mind.
Oh boy. Those free checks. That is.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Yep, that's what you like seeing. We have Luggage dancing with himself on top of a mountain.
Resetting out though. either decides I'm going to deal with it later, or hopefully comes back to that later.
With that white spear, I'd go right back. Wow, this is some nice loot that we've been finding here. But no, you're absolutely right. I think that place there, it's not bad. A little bit extra power, obviously. Maybe your first key item check behind you. You're still not 100% comfortable with some of the loot that you've seen. We've seen some okay stuff. Like we've seen, besides that white spear, we've seen some flames swords. We get the dragon whip for Rydia, but she's got no real power. And you got DKC, so it's like you're okay. You've got some strength, but not a lot.
Like what John Burkhead is doing here with Waterfall, this is when I like to check Waterfall, is when I'm about to go into the castle. I have no hope of taking it at that point. I just want to know. Because if I don't check it now, I just might forget it. And that might be what's going on with Curios. Worried about forgetting Hobbs entirely if he doesn't just check it right away.
Absolutely. And everyone's favorite blub 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 blub. We have Plague, a nice easy spot you like to see him. We're getting some okay bosses out in some early areas. Mom Bomb is here at the first spot on Ordeals. And we still have the option of some really rude fights going on. And Kane making great use, doing the most damage. That white spear being used as an item, really smart play from Solaris.
Yeah, that's something that's often overlooked because you think white, you think 8,000 in damage, and Spear just doesn't go anywhere near that. But early on, it's a lot better than most of your attack options.
Yeah, it's really nice how some of these items that you don't really think about, like we know the dancing dagger is one of those ones. You know the elemental rods can be used. Oh hey, look, there's our hook. We definitely need to come here at some point.
Right, only way underground.
Absolutely. And as I was saying, some of the items that you don't really think that can be used as items, the Blizzard Spear, often overlooked because that can cast ice too. Kane is a makeshift mage. Also, okay, I did infect it this time. This is in fact a back attack.
Vanilla.
There's our vanilla. Now you guys can yell at me. We have Malonzi on the back attack spot, and Kane is going to make very quick work of that, while Fiery Blizzard picking up his first objective.
And the other thing about that Blizzard Spear and its counterpart, the Flame Spear, is you can, if you hit left all the way, you can deal AoE damage. If you face, say, a required full gauntlet in an early spot like Mist Cave, that might well be your only source of AoE damage.
Yeah, this is true. And the loot in some of these places... Here, wow, speaking of loot, the loot just keeping on giving. This is Kane's seed for weapons. I don't know if you saw that, but Kiro's finding a Dragoon Spear and a Power Shirt. This Evelyn Castle is loaded.
Childish loot is extremely powerful, which benefits melee characters usually. So, being able to come in here, especially once you're able to take on the trap chests and you have Cecil as a paladin, we know from Adamant Cup that coming here for Wildish was a good source of Adamant Armor or Holy Swords on T8. Now that no Adamants is back on, any T8 hit is going to be either an Excalibur or a Crystal Sword.
Yeah, so you get yourself, as we see this starting Cecil, you get him some levels, you're really, really likely to hit those big boops. Speaking of hitting big boops, that is D-Lunars. These, again, White Spear, just making such great work of these overworld checks. Like, you can't really, I can't stop singing the praises of it enough because of just how good it is for overworld shenanigans. It's about the level of Twin, almost.
It's good times, definitely. A couple of bosses that, it's not going to do work for you on. You just have to keep it in mind. I'm looking at you, D-Mist. I'm looking at you, Octomom. They're not going to be too impressed by a White Spear. But other than that, bring down the pain.
Very true. Solaris, first one of the Paladin. Kyrios fighting right behind. And Fire Blizzard going to find their hook while John Burkhead has luggage. So we have all of our runners, different areas, now starting to retrace some steps and all getting an objective at least on the board. The real question is, when are we going to start seeing the other half of these objectives? Because as we see here, we can only unfortunately show 4 on the screen, so we're not going to be lighting them up specifically until we get both halves, and it's going to be very difficult to see who's where. It's nice that we have so many bosses, but if they could go with their group togetherness, that'd be, a little bit better for our poor tracker Xenocat.
I mean, you just write things down. How they did in the old days, right?
What is this paper you speak of?
something Mario, the 1,000-Year Duel. Anyway,
great game.
Yes, our tracker is keeping up with things. We've seen Antlion and Mylon Z, but no one has gotten both of them yet. So up here in the booth, we know about 2. 7 out of the 8 bosses need to be found and defeated to get the crystal.
Absolutely, and that's the one thing you're kind of hoping. I think every one of the runners is kind of hoping that 8th boss is going to be Golbez that we're having to leave behind. No one wants to fight Hahahamus, but I do. I want to see the runners take a good shot at him.
Yeah, that's the thing is that of the bosses that could have been rolled, these 6 aren't the worst in the world, especially with Antlion out of the way. But it's hard to say which one you really don't want to see until you know where they all are. Golbez is a fair bet without the other information.
Yeah, Golbez is on average just rude no matter where. There are times where he is not as big of a problem, but he's one, if you look at him and go, there's my problem of my 8 bosses. The gauntlet, depending on where you find it, can either be entertaining, can be annoying, or can be downright frustrating. I, for one, welcome my moon gauntlet overlords, but we are probably going to find the gauntlet in underground places. I'm going to call my shot right now. Going to find it Dwarf 2.
Moon Gauntlet is a great grind, especially if you've found hourglasses either in Eblin or in the Hummingway shop.
I see you two have done King Bahamut's throne moon grind. That I think I've seen that twice within the past 2 months, actually, on restreams.
Oh, I mean, with Fabul Gauntlet always being an objective, it pays to get used to your gauntlets. We have the favorite alt gauntlet flag on, which means that wherever the spot is, with a couple of important exceptions, you're going to get encounters from the surrounding area. So if you're not familiar with them and you're planning on giving these flags a spin, you'll get an education.
Absolutely. It's always entertaining to me as someone who's done a lot of the vanilla game when I was growing up, because I just absolutely loved it. Wait, did we just pull a crystal sword out? Because I saw Solaris went into an inventory. Okay, I did fully check.
Shield.
Okay. Got a little too excited for some crystal. But yeah, it's always been interesting to me. Like, no judgment. It's like seeing people who have never played the vanilla game pick up the randomizer and just seeing how they look at some of these enemies and go, "How do you fight this?" I look at it and you think, that's really an interesting concept, that just some of these enemies you've never seen, or even some of them just really. Oh no, I was right. That is a crystal sword.
Oh, okay. So yes. Brr.
Yeah, Cecil is 100% on. Yeah, we see Kane. You are a white caster now, my friend. That is about the extent of what you get to do, while Cecil and Rosa, or Cecil and Porum, get to cast Berserk and watch as everything falls to the ground.
And again, can't count on having a Cecil, but if you do with Wildish on, there's a good chance you're gonna run down, we mentioned, a T8 sword for him somewhere, and that can be what you lean on for a lot of your work.
Absolutely, and this is one reason why in a couple of tournaments we actually used to have Cecil as a gated character. Actually, one tournament we had Cecil as a gated character, I'm pretty sure, because he's such a strong character. And this is actually something we see from some of the from this specific, we have an evil wall in a very free location.
Okay.
Wow, you blink and you miss it.
Right?
Luggage and evil
And
wall.
gone.
I got one big question. Harumph, do you have somewhere you gotta be, my friend? Like, this is me level jet seats. And Gulp is into it. Are you kidding me?
Okay. Aaron in officially hard required.
Harumph, where do you gotta be, my man?
Oh boy.
You kind of laugh because this is just really entertaining. But and again, that crystal sword is gonna do a whole lot of damage.
We've got people down, so not gonna have any munching from the mealtime for Shadow. So, and this spot, Baron in 2 is so slow. I would not be at all surprised to see Solaris swing away and not even take a single spell before Golbez goes down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have such fast characters, especially since he just put crystal on everything. This is actually really interesting. Does he? Can he? Oh no, he doesn't take enough damage. But yeah, it's just very interesting. He's barely been finishing his conversation before Kane's throwing out a second white cast.
Nice. Kane jumping over the hold gas.
Man, this is always entertainment. But yeah, look, there goes half of his health, or more than half of his health right there. And hey, look, there would be the entirety of his health.
Another 300. Another 300. Oh, well, that'll do.
Yeah, so you're seeing some stuff, man. I don't even know what to really say about this. And this is, oh hey, look, a party rock too. Let's go get 2 more boss checks while we're at it. Technically
Let's
3.
The treasury. We don't have. I mean, we already have a crystal sword, granted, but now, if we didn't have a crystal sword, max tier 8 is not on. I've pulled holy swords out of this treasury from this flag set.
Have you actually? So the treasury is with no max tiers. It's just that crazy now, right?
Yeah. Granted, it was the only place you can pull a T8 untrapped. Still, you have that option now.
This is very true, and I am 100% here for this. As Solaris is again finding another objective, John Birchhead has gone through another, and Kyrios is utilizing the Silph Summon to weave away some Dr. Luggage. This is, again, this is just such a fast seed that we may only be focusing on a couple things here, but this is where like the most relevant and current information is. So it's not that one runner is ahead per se, it's just that this is so much we're trying to get to you. We're trying to get the big talking points out too.
Yeah, because like a full, at least a clear of the basic world spots is gonna happen with every runner. It's the first thing you want to make sure you get taken care of. Earth Crystal could be some divergence. Xenocat Baron Inn gave an Earth Crystal. So we might have some divergence there, whether some people want to sit through that check for the 2 characters. I mean, not the 2 characters, the 2 bosses. There are no characters there. So whether people want to move on to other things.
So that is the really important thing then, Commander. Like, so you have 2 technically 3 boss checks right there, because you have the 2 bosses you fight and the one that you see in Dwarf 2. Knowing what that fight in Dwarf 2 is versus with everything else we have, and knowing that we had a hard required Baron, if no 3 of those bosses are anything that's required, would you then check Dwarf 1 for a boss, or would you be leaving that for a long time now?
If I went to Dwarf after seeing that 2 was a whammy, it would be because I was hunting key items. So it would depend on how many things I had still locked up. If I was trying to open up more spaces, do I want a Baron Key or a Twin Harp or other things? Because we do have the Warp Glitch on, so you can get 2 main checks out of the way if you go through. But the other nice thing about doing Zod is that if you don't care about the key item checks, you can just walk in, see the sprite that's popping up, and if it's not an objective, you can reset out and save yourself a lot of cutscene.
Yeah, and that's the thing at that point. You're looking at a whole bunch of just cutscene and what's the really big things. at a point like this, when you have so many bosses kind of being thrown at you fast and furiously, to the point where Solaris and John Burkhead, actually everybody has one full objective lit up right now. Like that's just crazy. We're 20 minutes into these seeds, and we're seeing six of the bosses, technically seven of our 8 bosses, and that's just crazy to me. So, what have been your average times on these seeds?
Started out 130-ish. Started getting a little better after that. Varies from seed to seed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like normally on a hook dive, I've only checked off 2 bosses, assuming I haven't run to the moon first. This is definitely, my experience at least, an outlier.
Oh, I kind of disagree. It's everyone's rolling different seeds, so you're going to be finding every little bits of information is going to be relevant. Whether it's this is what you've witnessed, or this is what other people have witnessed, it's just there's going to be no norm because of the sheer amount of seeds that we will have based upon our random number generator for creating
Fair.
these seeds, which is great. But Solaris is doing our favorite thing that we had going on.
Raise that treasury!
Look,
Raise that treasury!
In fact, we are rating that treasury. Big shoutouts again to Huron for putting that on there. For a treasury, if we didn't already have a crystal sword, I would seriously consider that an 8. Aside from that, probably closer to a 6.
yeah. When you have a crystal sword in hand, you want to find an Avenger. Still, Radia's not gonna hate that black robe.
Yeah,
Stardust Rod. You want to switch from let Radia hit things to let Radia cast things. But yeah, not the most impressive treasury I've seen.
No, and that's the joys of how wild this loot can be. You can either get a treasury that is absolutely fantastic for your team, or for example, we have a fairly bruiser heavy squad, and we saw double black robe, lunar staff, and stardust, and the only nice thing we saw was a ninja blade for the edge that's not there, the Excalibur for the crystal sword we have, and the edge that can't yeet it. it's we have a lot of good things for characters not really entirely in the seed. Like you said, Riddy's gonna be happy, but I don't think we'd be using Rydia for much longer until we just slingshot her up.
Yeah. Couple of defensive hats there as we get the second look at the treasury. Glass hat, ribbon. They're going to be handy from time to time. But again, not an amazing treasury.
Also, big notice the fact that we have a mute dagger in Solaris' inventory, so that Asura is not going to be long for the world. This is going to be 9,000 HP that is going to be chewed through very voraciously.
Well, that's 3,500 of it.
And we have mute arrows.
Sure. I mean, don't hold back. There's 9k. Now, are we in position for life locking? Looks like we are, and that might be the plan. A little trickier with the jump timing, but I suspect Solaris can handle it.
Yeah, once you've gotten the, about, 6 and a bit knocked out, this is where you kind of just like, yeah, Cecil just showing off now. For everyone else doing 1900, he's like, I'll finally break the 2000 mark.
There we go.
And then we have Bursk on Rosa now, so these fights are kind of just, it's all the burr you could ever want within 16 MP.
Yeah, nicely done there by Solaris. Life locking, not automatic, but a bit more straightforward when you're just using fight and other no delay commands. Weaving a jump into it, it helps that it's a slower spot here on the overworld, but it definitely still takes some work to make sure it happens.
Also, we get our look at our Dwarf 2 check. That is a Dark Elf. That is a boss we don't really care all that much about. So, probably Dwarf with the not seen, but we do have a piggy leading Rosa to find yet another piggy. I love the fact that, and they run off too. I've never actually played a sea and orange seed.
Oh,
This
yes.
is really cute.
It's great. Yeah, the characters for cutscenes are replaced by pigs.
That is pretty fantastic. We have yet another Zonk, but a boss you're very happy to see outside of some of these locations here. You're really happy to see Aeldin here. You're okay to see Asura in a really weak spot, because that could be a lot of HP you have to go through. But yeah, this is time for us to slow down, and again, give another big shout-outs to our forerunners, Solaris, John Brickhead, Heroes, and Fiery Blizzard. Thank you then for letting us restream them of the ones who are racing tonight. Big shout-outs to them. Also, again, big shoutouts to our restreamer, Arunk, for rolling a Jetty and Shenanigans seed, and for Xenocat for keeping us honest with keeping sure these items and objectives are lit up, as well as, you know, just keeping everything under control.
I'm here for this to turn trolling.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm here for. Let's see. What would you fade? Let's put one of the bosses behind D-Mist at CP at Elements, because nobody wants to deal with that.
Oh no.
And let's put the other one in Sealed Cave. Yeah, liking this.
I'm 100% here for the Sealed Cave dive, and that's a really fun thing. Is a lot of people kind of see like warp glitch on and going and doing stuff, and then kind of getting a key item and getting out of dodge. But a boss check hidden there, especially when you're still looking for boss 7 for 6 of 7, very cheeky when it's hidden there or hidden on in the giant, like what you were saying. You got your choice, giant or sealed cave. I'll take sealed cave, thank you.
Definitely. And Sealed Cave doesn't actually take too long to look. You know, you set up your save up top, and you can be down to the boss in a little over a minute. Call it a minute 15. And you can find your information then, like, alright, do I care about this, or am I just resetting out?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a big thing, is the information that you can gain from that. The 3 minutes to 2-3 minutes to go in can save you easily 10-15 minutes later on in the seed, especially if that boss is something that's required too. You're running around looking for something when you could have found it and already been in your go mode, which has happened to me. I'm speaking from experience. I ran around like a chicken with my head cut off, and then hey, look, it's right there.
It's happened to all of us at one point or another, I think.
Absolutely. But we also see Kyrios doing the life locking. I'm pretty sure there is a mute dagger on that cane. We're going to find out in just a second. Yeah, still putting out some okay damage, because I know that Kyrios has gotten less, I think 1 or 2 less bosses, so a little bit less damage on that cane, but still doing really nice, pulling out really nice numbers.
Also, I kept calling out a free hook alert.
I did miss the boss. Who do we have?
Ouch.
Yep, that's exactly what he would be saying if we had to actually go through that HP. But even though we don't have to, that's a nice freebie fight. Matter why is it a free fight? Like it's Rubicante. It's a lot of HP at this point. Why do we call that free?
It is. When you come across that fight in the vanilla, it's over in Baron M2, which also has a lot of hit points for what your party has to deal with. But like a lot of fights where there's a lot of hit points in the vanilla, there's a trick. You have Cecil in your party, and once Karate is set up to do his second kick, or at any time thereafter, all you have to do is attack him with Paladin Cecil, and the fight will end. He says, ouch, and you're done.
And we just so happen to have a lovely Paladin Cecil. I mean, it is nice that that gets to kick around, and the fact that we have a lot of XP that we're going to be gaining. John Burkett has found the 4 Ogre chest, so that is with some life glitches here, yeah, we're gonna have a big, beefy Cecil and a lovely, healthy Rosa for this section here. So whatever we're gonna fight at the King Queen spot, I don't really think is gonna be long for the world.
The 4-bagon.
Ooh, that's very cheeky. I do love me some rude fights there. Actually, no, you know, it'd be unfortunate to see normally, but I do love a gauntlet at King Queen. It's like, oh, this should be a quick fight. No, you're here for a minute.
Right, King Queen is a surprise. We've seen Evil Wall. Evil Wall is usually my trolley go-to.
Now, this is normally would be a little bit unfortunate, but you have a free heal coming up. Ogo Pogo is exactly what you like to see.
Yeah? 6,000 HP to chew through, but he's immediately going to cut you in half and start swinging. This is in the back row. If he's got a... Damn. But if he's got a glass hat on, he'll be fine.
You like that 1,000 damage bopped on that 600 max HP Kane?
Yes, it's a very punchy spot, but poor Kane was up in the front row, doing front row things.
Kane's like, don't worry guys, I got this with my white spear. Ogopoga's like, I heard you was talking some smack.
Yeah. Crystal Sword Cecil says, Ogo, not long for this world, and here comes Karnak.
Absolutely, even getting some berserks in for some full shenanigans. Kick's not going to hurt very much. We have a whole bunch of great XP coming. The kick actually putting down Porum, so poor Kane accidentally hits Rosa, whereas Kyrios and Fire Blizzard are making quick work of the fights here in Zot. Again, Legend Sword, our lovely Zot reward, hoping to find the adamant as we go through, because everyone loves them some super gems.
And also, the Coco shop is good times, too. So...
Yeah, with our T Wildish, we're going to have a lot of really good items. As we've seen specifically from Solaris, he has the Excal and Crystal, so can sell an Excalibur for some good money. Also has all those black robes, everything else too. So we have a bunch of things here. Also, I want to do, for those of you who are watching back this VOD, either on YouTube or anywhere, I want to do a shout out to the fact that you can't see that Xenocat is absolutely begging Kyros to go to Mist Cave, because that's where the other half of Objective 3 is, and she's just sitting here like, can you, please, I want to light this one up. But
so just for Kyrios' sake, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Give him that.
Also, we have our lovely restreamer in the background saying 7 out of 8, it's fine, just find the other ones. I mean, to be fair, not incorrect.
Well, Solaris did take a quick look at top of the tower, as you should when you run the Silk Route. It's a sparkle. You know what sparkle that is. How eager are you to climb the tower now, Dathis?
When we have vanilla tower key there, and we have the tower key hiding a boss that is not in the giant. That's how eager I would be.
Yes. We could also just put the Baron key here and put both of the bosses in Baron Castle. You know, we've got options for that Wyvern to be exactly hard required.
Options are, in fact, optional. But yeah, it is a spot I would look at and go, you know what, we'll deal with you later, especially considering Solaris has this pan, so you want to see what other key items we can get out of this. As we always say, do your objectives, do your freebies, and then do anything else.
Yes. You like another Stardust Rod? I hear that someone in Coco might like to buy that from you.
Where is Palom? How could Rydia hold all these rods?
I don't think Rydia knows bluff. I don't think that's going to work out.
No, she only learns that if you play the 3DS version and you give her the augment for it. Then it's entertaining.
Shenanigans. Which probably is a good summary of the augment system in general.
Absolutely accurate, actually. The shenanigans you can get up to in that game is, ooh, that's fun. But as we've seen, that Dwarf Castle 100% currently unrequired. as we have Acho into Dark Elf. We don't know what the key item is, but we're just going to look at that and go, we're not going to deal with you until we absolutely need to, I'm pretty sure.
We've seen it in Zot 2. We know from the sprite hop. We need these fights. If we need to go key item hunting, we can do that later, but only, like, darkness is the big one. It's very likely, or it's at least reasonably likely, given that darkness holds 8 bosses, that at least 1 is an objective, maybe even 2. So you really do want to get that darkness crystal out of the way.
Speaking of 2s, those hourglass 2s are a big pickup here in Tomra. That is exactly what you love to see.
We still haven't seen our Fabula Gauntlet. Could be in a spot where we want those hourglasses.
I don't think there actually is a spot where you wouldn't want to have at least 2 or 3 hourglasses for a gauntlet fight. But Solaris is doing a cracking of an egg, and actually we do have a whisper in our ear from Harup, the Masamune spot, where it is nothing but dragons and masks and stuff you don't want to talk about. Oh my.
Nobody's impressed by hourglasses there. A lot of other places. The only other place is like, you know what, you're not worth my time, and we've cleared all those spaces, you know? If I find Alt Gauntlet at Antline, I'm a little annoyed, but I'm probably not breaking out the hourglasses. Now, some Zeus Rages.
Oh, Zeus and Thor Rages are fantastic in that area of the gauntlet. Like, let's talk about some J-item fantasticness here. And that's a nice thing too. It's a lot of people, like, we say, like, people love to do the memes of like, how many I have all these elixirs, but I could use them for later. You're on the last boss, but I might need them for something worse. It's the same things we like to do with J items too. We save them until, oh, maybe we can use them for a little bit later. But a lot of people I've seen have started to be a little more liberal with them. I think that was a tower key that we just saw. Oh, nope, Magma key. Well, that's gone.
Xenocat, don't threaten me with that filibuster. I know that trap. Don't.
I will absolutely hourglass Senator Crocodile so he can have his reign forevermore. No one can take it from him if he can't go anywhere.
You know what the filibuster is, though, right, Dallas? Are you aware?
I am, yes.
Okay, just making sure. That is a Fey March that I'm like, you know what? Here's hoping I don't have to deal with you at all. Although, ask me why I might keep an Edward.
I would be very tempted actually to go back, get that Edward, and just kind of cheese the DKC fight. Because why not?
Like, if I've kept an Edward, I know I'm doing something that most runners won't. So I see that DKC, I'm like, this is a thing I can do. Let's hope my decision gave me some value. I'm going to deal with that DKC. I'm going to set up my anchoring and get Edward out. And, yeah. But it has a nifty little key item. It's a K summon, so it's not as likely as a K main to hit. But it's still worth it.
This is true. And it
Baigon can heck right
nice.
off.
Oh yeah, no, Baigon can go away. We don't talk about him, especially in that spot. No, you can stay there. Oh hey, look, another crystal sword. So while Solaris is less happy to see that, every one of our other runners will be very excited because not a lot of them went and did Castle Eblin. Castle Eblin to find that there. So it's a great pickup there, and that's a lot of money. Look how much that sells for.
Does. Yeah, another fun thing about, you find that crystal sword, you can just go ahead and worry about shopping for a while. Whatever it is you're gonna need. Done.
Absolutely. And Kyros and John Brickhead are actually doing the full run of this Dwarf Castle. I'm here for it. Let's see what kind of key item we get. That's a package. Oh, you have to catch that in right now. And Birdhead, even remembering your Warp Witch on too. What do we have here? Ooh, that Dwarf Castle went from unknown to real spicy.
That is 3 bosses we didn't know about. just opened up from running the Dwarf Castle. Main checks paying out.
Yeah, and we technically are still in logic to get that the check that is going to be in Sealed Cave of the boss. But I think with the way everything is, we're not going to be diving that with that Luca key, just because of the simple fact of when you did grab that package and getting the Baron key, you kind of hope that 2 of the 3 bosses that are there that we don't know about are something you want. And I would be sorely tempted just to check that package immediately, because either it's there and you have such a good knowledge, because not a lot of people like to do package. Like, be honest, Commander. Do you? We have friends who say check your package, but if it wasn't for them, would you be checking your package on a regular basis?
On a massive boss hunt, sure, but normally no.
Yeah, and that's where you get the really big decisions and differences between it. It's like, it's one boss, it's a long investment, but that could be your 7th you get really quick ahead of anybody else. Because, like, say you go and do the moon, you go top down checking all the bosses. Well, you find 2 bosses there, and that's nice and all, or 1 boss there, but I mean, that's a lot of investment. If you if you need the levels, great. If you didn't, but Solaris is going to see just how much it's going to pay out to do that warp glitch.
Yeah, and especially with Fading Dwarf, you get pulled in the direction of this Luca key.
Yeah, and it's hard to say which is the right call, whether fading the Luca key and just taking these key items and running, or fading Dwarf Castle and ditching out on the package check. It's going to be real tough. I really hope that John does give us a quick little look and see, is this package going to be a big deal? Because that's the whole point. If package holds a almost vanilla water hag, then that's going to be the big thing. If it's the gauntlet, you're not happy, but you'll get through with some J items.
You deal with it and accept that it's there and that you got an objective out of the way. Fortunately for Solaris, this was Baron Key down here and package a dwarf. Because the Baron Key is the bigger value of the two.
Yeah, if I had to choose between which key item to get, I would take the Baron Key over the package with blind information. Leviathan here, so whoever does these warp glitches and does not pick up Leviathan, or does not come down here, kind of wins out in that aspect.
Yeah.
But still better to know and have this knowledge.
It's a little on the cranky side. The speed and the magic here are not to be laughed at.
No, but we have an X-Cal Cecil, we have a Dragon Spear King, or Dragoon Spear King, but X-Cal Cecil alone, like, look at him just whip out that damage. He is fast and furious. Yeah, Rosa can't even heal him back up. He's just going.
That's the threat.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. We're done here. I think it's Crystal Cecil for Solaris, right?
Did I say X-Cal? Yeah, it is Crystal. One of 2 crystals.
Sure. That's done. That's out of the way. You can leave now.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of take what you've got. We do see Fiery doing some more looting here. Maybe looking for the trap chest here for the enemies. Still hoping to pull a crystal sword because again, Fiery hasn't found the free one just yet. Although it is, again, it's very entertaining the fact that Sheila just goes, here, have another very violent weapon that Zeromus isn't going to like you using.
Check your freebies. But also, the loot in these chests is more likely to be of greater value than some other chests because it's in an area with a trap chest. So that might also be the fall process. And sure enough, Harry Blizzard says, I'm good.
Also, a good comment from our restreamer in chat, knowing that it is Leviathan there and knowing what bosses you have to go through in that Dwarf Castle. Would you, again, not saying Solaris' choice is wrong or anything like that, but to pick your brain, Commander, where would you rather have gone? Would you have taken that Leviathan and just fade the package, or would you rather have both key items?
I would have, if I made the decision to fade Dwarf, I would have stuck with it. I would have just gone ahead, taken the Leviathan. I wouldn't have second guessed myself and undone my decision. You're gonna make the decision not to chase the key item in Dwarf and just focus on boss checks. Commit to that, play it out.
True. And also, as mentioned, Solaris didn't take Rydia, but that's also a point where you can just grab Rydia, go and just say, hey, get a couple levels, get this warp. Okay, nothing. We got what we needed. Hey, Rydia, go back on the bench. Or you can even keep that low-ish level Rydia, and her agility is still going to be low enough that you can keep her at, say, what, level 5 or so?
Sure. Even if you don't have a curse string, you can keep her down. You can your anchoring taken care of.
Absolutely. And again, we do have just so many checks going on. This has been really interesting. We have Kyros. He's going to be turning in that pan. He's going to be yet another runner who's going to be having an Excal Sword Cecil upgraded to the Crystal Sword Burr, as well as getting yet another Stardust Rod that is going to be thrown out somewhere so that they can have even more money to sell everything we ever need.
But Solaris is the runner showing us new ground. Starting with the Dark Imps, we knew about that. But we have two other bosses and potential key items. We still haven't seen our Darkness Crystal to open up most of what's hiding.
Now, here's the real question, Commander. Knowing the power that you have here with this current squad, do you do the Kinazo spot first, or do you do the Odin spot first?
Do the Kinazo spot first. It's a main check. It's going to be. I know it's quicker overall to do Odin spot first, but I also like to be able to save before I look at that Odin spot. It's an ugly boss that's not an objective. I'm seriously considering not even taking the fight. Also, it's a little shorter to get out of Baron. Not by much, but a little shorter now that we have no C-No earned on.
This is true. We do not get to see the character walk up, spin, and come around. But you know what? I think you were in the right here. This poor Elements, Cecil walked up and was like, "Can you please leave?" He didn't say it politely the way I said it, especially with that quad 9 crystal sword bop.
Cecil says that to a lot of bosses. Honestly, says, "I have a crystal sword. Get out."
Yeah, but see, to other bosses, he's been at least a little kind, hitting for about 1,000, 2,000. To the Elements, he said it in a way that we can't repeat on Restream here, but
Overkill.
underrated.
Saved by a small person and I'm not sure what villager that is. Saved by a couple of villagers, one from Silvera.
Let's say one from Silvara and one from Agart, the two least often visited villages in the overworld.
Well, Solaris has a pass. But
That's a really good
it's starting to look like we're going to end on the moon. So, I hate it though.
No, and I mean, we still have, we do have three bosses that are really out in the wild that we don't know about. Calbrino, Waterhag, and the Gauntlet, and we do still technically have 2 key items to check and 2 locations to check before we have to really consider the moon. But let's see what we got. Ooh, well, you don't. Are you gonna take this?
Because of what Xenocat pointed out, that there just are not that many options for where the Darkness Crystal is. Sure, I guess we'll fight.
That's fair, actually. Yeah.
But it's not pretty, but you accept it. Like, this is a boss that says, "Oh, you have a crystal sword and a white spear." That's cute. Fiery Blizzard, also noting, Fiery Blizzard made a few very valiant attempts to get through that DKC by tossing some heals around, but it's a fast and angry spot. It's a tough assignment.
I agree. I know a lot of people who have Cursed, DKC, Asura, like different other areas of fights in that boss location. I know there was a table salt from the Bull Gauntlet seed that I had contributed to people that had a free Cecil anchor with the crystal sword, so everybody leveled him up, and then they found a wyvern that was too fast. There was I may have gotten a few DMs that week.
Probably. You probably did. Because there have been a few things that have been done with Cecil over the years. You mentioned once that restricting him has been an option. There was a different tournament where vanilla agility was on, so wanted to keep Cecil, you at least had to think about whether you were willing to put up with that.
Also, big shoutouts to the strats that Solaris is using. We have Bacchus wines being used between each one of the phases, and then we just have a straight up coffin being used on Cecil. So he goes burr for a little bit, you knock him down, you pick him, he gets back up again, you're gonna keep burn some more.
Now we just need a dancing dagger.
Unfortunately, the only dancing we see are the victory dances from Roses, Cecil, and Kane, as we get a check from the white dragon giving us the white spear. Oh, you'll love to see it.
That's a big one.
That means that tower is hard required.
I believe earlier I requested some trolliness to make up for all of these bosses. Looks like the seed's going to deliver. Because where are we going for this darkness crystal? Nowhere fun.
Yeah, pick your poison. Do you want a wyvern that's going to be a fun time? Do you want to go fight that DKC without an Edward, or do you want to fight Baigan with no real way to wipe those arms out quickly? The answer is no.
The answer is wyvern, but as far as wiping out those arms, I did see Leviathan for sale in one of the shops. If I'm carrying Iridia, which Solaris isn't, and that's what I'm thinking about for that Baigan, is, yeah, we're just going to splash you up, we're going to put Cecil in the back, he's going to cover Iridia before she's even weak, and anyone else that happens to live through that fight, great, we didn't come here for the XP.
We're not here for an arm grind. This is the wrong location for that, but we are in fact here for the key item that is hidden. And this is roughly, what, 18,000 HP we have to get through now?
I am really hoping for that darkness crystal to be behind that DKC.
Because... Oh, please.
Edward! 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 Edward!
I also want to see... I believe this is Witchburn too, isn't it?
I believe you're right.
I love seeing the random different opening attacks from stuff that you didn't see. Like, I didn't know that Tongue was an ability for the longest time until I saw him like, what is this from? And it was like, oh, that's what it's from? Oh no, it is just regular incoming wyvern.
Okay, no, it's not Witchburn. It's just straight up get mega nuked. Now you play the life roulette.
For not very long, because Cecil has now officially done 9,000 himself. 12. Yeah, no, Wyvern's not going to get a chance to do anything.
Okay, so much for the life roulette.
Game we're not playing. Yeah. Oh no, Commander, what have you done?
Tiara. Wow.
Commander, please.
Oh, no. It's in the Feymarch!
So about that DKC.
Edward! 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 Edward!
We here in the Free Enterprise Research Community booth, we do not condone such violence against our runners. We do, however, find it hilarious.
Oh, wow.
This is, in fact...
really being committed. I'm not gonna lie. At this point, if I was in Solaris' shoes, I would hope that Luca would bail me out of this Feymarch. Like, Luca, show me a darkness crystal. Show me a tower key. Show me anything. I admire Solaris' commitment.
Yeah, you're looking at this, you're going, I don't want to do it. Please don't make me. This is one of those you're just looking at this going, I really didn't want to do this. And I've seen so many fights like this. You just look and go, please no. But this is where it is. Oh, hey, look, a curse drink for sale. Bomber really does have all the goods here.
Yeah, and again, with this Fey March, you want to see that first string.
It's a chonky Dark Wave.
Bam! Yeah, and this is what Fire Blizzard was already facing. Oh, we're gonna get a little jump over the wave attempt. I like it. Jump does not ruin the script, only fight stops justice.
Yeah, so, and that is the big benefit we see of Sid in these seeds. As you said, Edward is really good for the hide strats. Sid is really good for feed me potions and keep me standing peasants, because he has way more HP than the Cecil, and Cecil's taken some extra levels than him, too.
Yeah, Sid is definitely another very solid answer to a rude DKC.
And look, there's your Darkness Crystal.
See, I'm just saying, I would have had this Darkness Crystal a long time ago.
Yeah, Eddie's. We know that Eddie is in fact best boy, and yeah, I do like the connotation that is Darkness Knight Cecil, which is pretty entertaining. Thank you, S Grunt in chat for that.
Very nice. So get that Darkness Crystal, and if 5 down, we're just looking to see if 2 of them are up on this moon. So I would be just in full face check mode and like, what have we seen that's literally free? I'd take King Queen Evelyn, for example.
Oh yeah, we have King Queen Evelyn. I think we have the Baron Guards as well,
Yes.
as our 2 free fights, and obviously Water Hag. But
that's an objective. We were taking that anyway. So yes.
And as we do have our lovely restreamer reminding us, we do have 2 gated bosses left. We don't know who's behind Package, which is a really interesting one. We don't know where our tower key is just yet, and we also don't have his favorite check of the Twin Harp. Which, if I was going to be one of the runners in this seed, I found a Twin Harp, I would metagame it against my restreamer and throw some magic and let us listen to some music.
It's true. Trump will roll required Twin Harp. This is known.
We've also got a couple of messages in chat, people trying to find some rude requirements of the Twin Harp and do some other key items for some other bosses, which I'm 100% here for. But yeah, with 8 bosses here on the moon, it's very likely that we're going to find someone in a face check.
Starting at cave value, it's very easy to see the sprite.
So, especially with this pass, would you do a full top-down approach, or would you do a middle-out sort of thing when you're checking the moon?
I tend to top down. Just get them out of the way as relatively quickly as possible. Ribbon is, I'm not here for key items, so I'm not as eager to get down to the key item density at the bottom.
It's true, and we do have... Oh, there we go! K-Value, in fact, has some goods.
Value at cave value? You're welcome.
Also, another boss that does not like hourglasses because you stop the back ones, and it's a good time for the rest of the fight.
Yes, indeed.
Curios also getting the bad news that we have a DKC that is very much required, and no one really wants to see it. That is a speedy DKC on his side, dang.
I mean, yeah, that spot's always going to be fast. All you can do is try and make yourself just as fast as the spot.
This is very true. And as pointed out, we just need a single blue robe, whether it is the troll multi-hit or the 3-hit done or the 5 fights and done. It's exactly what we're looking for, and nobody wants to really take on this DKC, but we're here for it for a while.
exactly what Kyrios needs to do to progress.
So, I'm going to make the comment when we do, if we get a chance to interview Kyrios at the end. With Cure 3 being as slow of a cast as it is, because it is no Cure 4. No Cure 4 whatsoever for speed. The second Rosa gets her turn, especially with this lowered battle speed, you want to just get that Cure 3 going and queued immediately. The faster you get the cast time out, the better.
Yeah, I think it's got cast time 1, but in a spot like this, 1 is all you need to get popped yet again. It's not the 0 that Cure 4 is.
Yeah, and Cecil's
There
going
we
to
go.
survive. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just stuff that you learn from knowing, and you're used to, when you see Rosa around this time, she's got Cure 4, so you're used to this, oh, this is instant, it takes no time at all, like, I have to wait, especially when you do, like, Zeromus fights, but it's, oh, spell delay 2 was
Today I learned it's delay 2.
So yeah, you definitely want that going on
Today I learned.
immediately.
Yeah, In fact, it probably just isn't a viable option.
No, and especially with this bike, like this is rude here. Like this is
Kane
exactly
once
what I wanna
again
play.
in the Kane is warfing this seed for us. So for the next generation fans, you understand what I'm saying. Warf existed to be big and bad, and then to be immediately run over by someone just to show how tough that someone is. Kane has served that purpose for Ogopogo and now for Baiken.
Yeah, and the really nice thing is that this Cecil is very, very fast when he's berserked, as we've seen. He took out both those arms as we got in just the Entangle off. This is now where Rosa gets to do what she does best. She keeps Blink up on the casters, and everything is going to be perfectly fine. It's going to be less fine later on when these arms come back, but they are not going to last, especially as long as Cecil just, again, goes from back to front. And this is kind of what you love to see. See, this is the arm grind we were talking about.
Yes, it is. Seriously, this could still be an alternate path to go mode, just depending on how things shake out.
This is true. We do have the pass. This could, in fact, be Twin Harp into a required boss, and we could have the package also being a required boss. So there are multiple different ways. The moon is very likely, but just because it is likely does not mean it is 100%. 8 bosses, we still have so many out there.
Yeah. I've run moons that have seen 3 objectives. I've seen completely haunted moons on this select set. It's very strange.
And yeah, double blue robe in places you really don't want to see. I'm 100% here for that. And as we were talking about spellcasting, the times we do have a whole bunch of chat going on about. Thanks to Escrant, there are mostly 0s, 2, 4, 6s, a few 8s, 2 10s, a 12, and then we jump all the way up to 20. And as you can see, and as you comment, and as you kind of laughed at it, Medio is in fact the 20.
What is Psych?
Because
that would have been my other guess for the 20.
It feels like it, right? I think it's an 8. Oh, it's 10. Dang.
Crystal Helm from Bygone. That's kind of rude.
So we do have a blue robe found. Solaris has found one of them. So unfortunately, music is oh no, harp is wait, why is moon required? I kind of zoned out a little bit. We see moon required from Xenocat.
I think it's just
the Bygone check. That's right.
The Bygone check failed. And we've seen the Wyvern check fail. And we don't have enough spots on Earth that we don't have 2 spots left on Earth that we haven't looked at. Package could give us an objective, but that would still only be 6.
Alright, Solaris, this is going to tell us if something on the Earth is still hard required. The Earth is still have something, so we have to do a couple of key item checks here. That means that package and harp actually have harp has to have something.
So did Solaris check everything? Because Solaris is now heading up to Crystal Sword Altar.
Ah, Crystal Sword Altar, correct. I thought he did the full top down.
And I don't think, actually, if I remember right, I think he went straight to the bottom. I'm not sure that Solaris has checked Murasame yet. Is that correct?
That is very true. Sorry, I get a little excited with some of the trolley checks being required. Also, there is the giant that exists.
Right, there's the giant.
Yep, that's another one. That would be honestly kind of funny. It would be alt gauntlet into water hag, which would be just hilarious.
That's kind of rude.
Speaking of
But
not
funny.
rude, that is the guards right there.
And no, Solaris does not even have time for guards. Says, oh wait, no,
Changes
here we
his
go.
mind. Yeah, let's get.
Yeah, he
I
says,
agree
you know
with
what?
this.
We can do this.
It,
We got this.
It's free XP. Let's get a little bit of XP going on
Let's
here.
take it.
Unfortunately, only 9 key items though, which a little unfortunate. But yeah, we're just gonna get the XP where we can get it.
Power Couple fortunately doesn't need near as much XP to deal with Zerones as some other party.
No, you get Rosa to Cure 4, get her at about 1900 HP, 2000 for safety, but once she's at about 1900, you're kind of good.
And we've got a ribbon to help with that Big Bang resistance as well.
This is true. And he pulls the good luck. Oh my goodness. That is...
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? We'll take the free boss for a good key item.
So at this point, in the booth, we know everything we need to see every boss. The only reason Solaris can't see every boss is that he faded the package from Dwarf Castle, but that being said, that only has one boss. Solaris knows that he's in effectively go mode, just doesn't know where to go. Face check mode. Those are the words I wanted. Thank you, Xenocat.
Yeah, face check and... yeah, because Rat Tail can't give anything. So, in fact, that means that the Tower Key or the Harp is going to give the Rat Tail, in some variation of that, because we have a couple of dead ends here, so this will be very entertaining. This check here is going to be kind of the be-all, end-all to see whether it is Harp or it is this package that's going to hold it. Survey says, oh, unfortunate. Moon is 100% required.
Top down, baby!
This is why we go top down.
Palbrunna, and then Water Hack. Bang, bang!
I was really hoping. I mean, there still is the hope that we have the alt gauntlet hidden behind the package or at Twin Harp, but we're not going to see them this seed, I don't believe.
Well, we're just gonna have to wait for the tournament to see if those trolley seeds come out. But there'll be plenty of tournament action coming up. We will get to see plenty of restreamed races, and as we always do, talk about the wild shenanigans and the crazy seeds.
Absolutely, and yes, I will again want to give you comments to give a shout outs to our tracker and our restream, which I'm going to do again to Xenocat and Harumph, respectively. And big shout outs to you, Commander, because you are absolutely fun to do comfy couch comms with, and it's just absolutely a blast.
Oh, likewise, Dathis. Couldn't agree more. Nice to just chill, kick back, have a good time.
And Solaris is rewarded with the pink tail. Unfortunately, we're not going to get Rat Tail into pink tail, which is one of my favorite interactions. Have this tail of legend. This other tail of legend!
Hey, why did I give you that? Take it back. I take it back.
Wait, that was part of my collection. I didn't mean to do that. Wait, take this instead.
Thanks for made. And now we'll just get to see how Solaris is feeling about his party. Is it time for Z? Need a little more levels? Crystal Sword will make you feel a little... Let's see.
If you play it right, and all you do is you berserk Cecil, because Cecil's all the damage you're going to need. Crystal Sword Cecils, even at lower to mid levels, as long as you're above 1500-ish, you can kind of do it. It's just this is where you get like the full cheekiness of the fact that you've got you gotta hope that those Big Bang nerfs come out properly. You've gotta hope that that counter nuke does not hit exactly Rosa or Cecil at that point. It's riskier than necessary, but it is something that 100% we can take. And Solaris is just like, nah, we're going, fam.
And it also helps that we've seen a Power Shirt and a Zuzo.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely makes a big difference. There are flags. They're showing up in chat.
Well, yeah, people wanted to see what flags these blue moons are based off of, right? That's what we're talking about. So again, we have K-Main, Sun, and Moon. So what are the flags referenced, though?
Well, see a lot of Z's and Z's, and we're about to go to a spot for Zeromus, and to see a question mark. And that's because we don't put Zeromus in Antlion Cave. Some people would enjoy it, a lot of people wouldn't. What we do instead is randomize the sprite. There are, we're over 500 now. We're probably closing in on 600 different sprites, most of which have been done by our wonderful art dev, Scala Kitty. And when the crystal is used on Zeromus, there will be a transformation to one of those sprites. And because of that, there's something we like to say now, isn't there, Daphnis?
Whose butt are we going to kick on Friday night? And does it even have a butt? Is said butt cute? How about hats? I love hats.
Lots of questions. In fact, there's a survey for them.
Oh, CDI miss. Hello.
Hey, you're back.
I
saw this not too long ago.
I love this. My favorite when people kind of look and went, "What is this?" So this is from the CDI version of Legend of Zelda, which we don't talk about because that is not a video game. This is Ganon from said game. This is this is what we had a lot of when they thought that interactive technology was going to be a big thing. But we do see a lot of HP on these Berserkers. Rosa, the only one with...
A Thor Rage nerf. Why not? I mean, there's worse ways to nerf. Oh, the counter nuke though drops Rosa. No hesitation.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. Poor Rosa. She does get the life up, and that's a good time, though.
But he needs to heal before the nerf Big Bang comes out.
Absolutely. And Porum should be able to get a cure pot out. Ooh, nope, that's going to be Porum and Rosa down again. Honestly, probably the worst start to a Z fight I think that I've ever seen.
It's not pleasant. Sure. It's definitely salvageable at this point, no doubt about that. But it's a rocky start, definitely.
Absolutely. Also, while we're talking about CDI-ness here and the shenanigans that is his being rude, Kyrios is actually kind of hot on Solaris' heels. Gets that pigtail, has the pass, and yeah, that's a crystal. Like we've got another runner who's on their way to Buzeromas.
Yeah, by going top down, saving all of the time that Solaris spent, heading down, heading back up, exiting out, to be saved. Time to be made up.
And John Burkhead is right behind too. Again, so this is as much as the seat is open, it was a very linear way because you had to go do this Fey March, but to do the Fey March, you had to get some levels. It's that little back and forth dichotomy that you love. You love to see just how these seeds can really pan out, but it's great to see the way these are going.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%.
Kyrios actually turning on encounter. Oh, that's alright.
Some levels. Hey! Pull the King Ryu times.
I think on this area this is not the rarest encounter, but it's like the third most common.
I
It's
didn't
really
see where Curios was, but based on your statement, I'm assuming LST4.
I believe it's LST4 is what we're on right now.
Yeah.
Where there's the gap in the middle you have to go across. Yeah, Xenocat confirming LST4. So
Yeah.
you're not likely to pull this encounter, but by sheer luck, again, I've always said I'd rather be lucky than good, and this is when shenanigans like that really pays off.
It's a popular spot to pull straight random encounters. The Siren encounter is the triple Warlock, and that's also a good one for XP. So yeah, a lot of runners will like to just turn on random encounters here and take what they can get.
And again, honestly, I don't blame him. And as we're talking about Kyros and John Burkhead getting through some stuff, Solaris, you blink and you miss it. We've got rocks falling already. Again, Cecil, his damage is just off the charts when it comes to this. You don't need anything else. Look at that, 4,000 a swing. Gonna choose his last 10,000 no problem.
Cecil compels CDI must fade away. And Polaris is our second overall finisher and our first finisher on Restream. Official time of 1:17:03. GG's.
Yeah, huge GG's to him. We had, let's see, we had 14 entrances tonight for this, I believe. Yeah, for this Restream race, and huge GG's. We're gonna see if we can get him in for an interview. I still want that face to please get off my screen. CDI, this is the thing of nightmares. I hear a bloop, and I'm pretty sure if I say it, if I say hello, we're going to be hearing Solaris' voice. GG's on your second place finish overall, first place on stream.
Harumph, why? Why?
Yeah, that's what I was expected to hear.
Why? I mean, hi. Why? Hi.
Here's my question. Are you regretting not taking that Edward?
You know, if a spoon had come up early, I was very willing to entertain it because I think it would be fun. But yeah, kinda. Actually, what I really was thinking was that I probably already had the setup to deal with DKC. I had so many other things to do when I went down to that Fame March. I made myself as prepared as possible for the dolls or the alt gauntlet, and otherwise I was gonna fade. So, like, I felt really horrible that like the mid to late portion of that seed until I realized where darkness was, and then I was like, oh, okay. Everybody is in the same situation.
Everyone is last locationing this right now. Like, nobody is wanting to do this fight whatsoever. So yeah.
Yeah.
One of your restreamed compatriots made a very game attempt early, but it was just too much to handle. That's not messing around.
Yeah, it's tough. You need to be able to get. You need either a Sid that's somewhat healthy and get a couple curatives onto him, or a somewhat healthy Kane with a jump. Mine wasn't good enough. But I think if I dumped heals onto him after he landed, that would have been okay. Or obviously that Edward, like, you were free to go back and get him, but in a race, nobody's gonna really go do that, right? Unless you kept him.
Very true. Yeah, everyone said no to the Edward. We did have a little variation. Some people kept the Forum, as you did. Some people kept Rydia. It was very interesting seeing that little changes there. Some people, in fact, kept Forum and Rydia and didn't keep the Sid, which is, again, it's very interesting seeing the way 7 players, you have 7 characters, and we have 4 runners, and we have, I think, 3 different distinct teams. So one big question I have for you, Solaris. Sorry, actually, no, go ahead about the team comment.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I actually think it's correct to take Rydia. I just, I said no to her, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna put, like, I guess Rydia and Porum in my back pocket if I need to. They can be slingshot targets. One of them's a fine anchor. I'll just go back and get the Rydia. And then as I'm going through the seed, I'm like, oh, I instead chose to have a Porum as an anchor, which is fine, but I think better on these flags with a warp glitch is you get Rydia a little bit of experience so that you can do warp, but she's still slow. So you give her, like, you give her a little bit of hope, and then you put her down. However, I didn't have her, and we had Zod early, so I was able to peek both sides of Dwarf Castle and said, well, guess I'm fading that. Oh, here's a Luca key. Guess I'm gonna hope there's a boss here.
So,
yeah.
knowing what you know now, if you could have gone back and taken the bosses in either taken that Leviathan fight or taken the bosses in Dwarf Castle to get the key items for, I don't think you hit 10 key items, which is regardless, would you have rather taken, if you had to make a choice one way or the other, would you rather take the Dwarf Castle, or would you rather take in Sealed Cave?
Oh, I think in a big group race, Luca ends up being kind of a cute gamble. A boss could be there, but it's unlikely. I think the odds say it's better to just go in with the warp glitch. It's just you kind of never know where Luca is in the key item logic, but bosses don't really care about that logic, so I don't know, it's interesting. I would have rather done Dwarf, though, for sure. Especially if it had a key item that would have really helped my team out. We were really desperate for levels at the end there. Ah, yes. Another source of a gamble on this flex set.
I was really wanting someone to check it. Like, as commander, I was like, someone check your package, dang it.
Ron was. He was really hoping, but nobody did.
Yeah, that's too bad. I took the Baron Guards for a little bit of experience at the Crystal Sword Altar. Gave me a Twin Harp. I was ready if that Mura Altar didn't have it. I was headed straight there, but no.
Yeah, it was another thing we were kind of hoping
keep,
for.
Harp faded, at least from here. I don't know what other people will have done, but...
And no one else has checked Harp either.
Yeah, no one has found it yet. So we have Kyrios and John Bertrand in their own fights right now. So yeah, we're definitely not going to be seeing Twin Harp unless Fiery Blizzard decides to eschew the norm and take that free fight and check it. But I highly doubt that.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, so seeing these flag sets, how many of these seeds for Blue Moon have you run? And additional question, because we have 2 flag sets coming up, are you doing Blue or Red Moon?
Sure. So I've only actually done a few of these. I've done maybe half a dozen of the Red Moon. I'm gated out of Blue Moon, so my choice is Red Moon. I think, and it's funny because I helped design the flags, but as I've played them both, I've realized my playstyle leans more towards Blue Moon. Like, I think I would perform better regardless of who's in that pool with these flags. But I think Red Moon is going to be a fun challenge. T-Pro is definitely has given me trouble in the past trying to figure out, how to go fast while also dealing with like bad parties. But I think it'll be fun. So I think regardless, for the challenge, the Red Moon would really be calling me. But yeah, that's where I'll be going, for sure.
May I interest you in overlooting? It helps bad parties when you have enough items. Enjoy it in a loot.
Dude, it is the answer for T-Pro is overloot, and as
I do love my loot.
I know that's my biggest problem when it comes to a runner myself. I can't not overloot.
I do love my loot. I'm the person who thinks dark matter is fun because you're forced to loot.
Same.
Right? Like,
can we get some dark matter hunts for like community races after the next tournament?
It just ends up being kind of a tracking headache, but otherwise I think it's fun. Yeah.
I interest you in a club where you can vote to increase dark matter in the YAML every week.
I hear great things about your club. Next season I may do it.
It's been a lot of fun.
I don't know that I'll do dark matter. Maybe. I'm sure there are many contentious choices in that club, so I suppose why not?
Oh, absolutely. If you can't do are you really having fun?
That's true. Are you really having fun if you aren't making everybody go, why on earth did you do what?
But like also, what you just did, what you just had to say from Harumph.
But to be fair, if it's specifically dark matter you want, and specifically looting you love, there's Looters Anonymous from this.
There is, yeah. That's Grunt. Great, yep, so many great clubs, and so many great clubs, so many asyncs, so much love in the community for, all sorts of different ways to play this game. is pretty neat.
Absolutely. And again, big shout out to you letting us restream you and showing off the fantastic strats that we've seen. And just again, not quite a clinic considering there was basically a full clear of that blue planet, but still really solid play and just really great overall. Thank you very much for letting us restream you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, that felt very good. I had a weird glitch with my Dragoon Spear and impaled him. That was odd. And I also was able to run buffer Starveil Wyvern, even though it didn't matter, which felt really fun when I get to show that off. So, yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing the commentary, Dathos, Commander. Thank you, Xenocat, for the tracking, and Harumph for this delightful, wonderful seed.
No sarcasm whatsoever.
There were crystal
Who
swords.
doesn't love Dark
Yeah.
Crystal behind DKC? I think Mark.
But anyways, I'll head on out of here now. Bye, y'all.
And that was our second place finisher overall, Solaris. We are now joined by second on restream, fifth overall, Curios. GG.
Thank you.
All right, Kira. So let's start something a little bit different. So we have our 7 characters that we have. We have Porum, we have Rydia, we have Rosa, we have Cecil, we have Kane, we have Sid, and we have Eddie. What are your thoughts of for a party, and what are your thoughts of when you're going to attack this seed on the overworld?
Yeah, so the big decision to me coming out is who's going to be the anchor, Porum or Rydia. I think I paid a little bit for not making it Rydia, or at least not keeping Porum absolute base level. But I wanted the flexibility. I mean, you have the Dragon Whip early, you have the Self early, so that for a party that ended up with a lot of power, there really wasn't necessarily there right away. So I think that actually helped a little bit. But I mean, I'm never taking Eddie there. I know Spoon can make him good eventually, but as soon as I see the Cecil, like, Eddie, go get out of here. And then Sid was kind of the backup anchor in case I needed to go grab him.
All fair, and decisions that a lot of runners would agree with. That being said,
No, there is
what
something
works
else.
really great against DKC?
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to say, no, we can actually, Commander, we can also have all of our runners tonight agree on the exact same thing. We can't repeat what they agree on, but
fair.
it is some words. They are directed at Harumph, and in regards to that DKC.
So, I think that's actually a little bit smoother if I have the true anchor there instead of the 8 agility anchor without the rest of the party quite quick enough. But obviously Cecil's HP total, I really had to take the bike in to have enough HP to make that work anyways. So I don't know. It was an awkward setup for sure.
Yeah,
Check.
but there's no getting around that spot being fast. If you have the proper setup, you can make yourself just as fast as the spot and at least neutralize that issue.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, 800 damage party-wide dark waves are still 800 damage party-wide dark waves.
Yep, for sure. I was actually really glad that darkness was there, because if it was top of Keyless Tower, I was just going to lose by all the amounts.
We did see what it was up there. It was a tiara.
Oh,
Also saw
wow.
what Baigan was holding. I don't remember if you did or not. But
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Baigan was, yeah. It was. Oh, Seed had jokes.
Yep.
So, you get to the moon. Were you ever tempted to dive straight to the bottom, or is top-down your normal play?
So in boss hunts, I have been doing top down, and I have generally found myself happier with it. I mean, in normal, if I'm hunting for items or hunting for something else, I am a big fan of bottom up, but the cave value and that top check are just so relatively quick that it feels better to get them out of the way, I think.
For what it's worth, I completely agree.
I'm also in the team top down, please, because people are just so tradition to go, oh, let's see if you go bottom out or you get all the key items and checks. No, just top down, because it's more logically that way. So something I wanted to actually comment on. This was not a criticism, but just something to point out during the race when you were fighting that DKC, slightly more, uh, less normal agility. If you had queued up the Cure 3 with Rosa immediately because of the
Yep.
cast time, you probably would have been kind of safe, and Cecil would have been able to set on his turn. Not saying like perfect, but it's one of those like you're so used to like Cure. We were saying like we're also used to Cure 4s, Cure 2 in a pinch. Like they're just really quick casts that you're not used to the length, the 2 cast time of Cure 3. So it could have worked there if you wanted to keep going at it, but it's one of those you have to kind of chuck it out quick and not be waiting. But again, you did the other thing, get some XP, come back in the fight when you knew you could handle it, and it was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And that's like, no matter, I mean, I've been playing not as long as some people, but at least a little while now. And no matter how long you've been playing, there's always like some new combination of HP total, agility, and just trying to work it all out at that one spot.
Like here's another thing. As like you said, it's like, oh, HP totals and everything. Like for example, 1200 HP strats, those have only been around for about maybe like a year and a half now. No one really will think about stuff like that for the longest time. So strats are developed all the time, and new information or new ways of looking at things that just always depend on what situations we're in. So it's anything you can learn is always good. Also, later on, we're going to talk about the violence that Xenocat posted in chat. That is a moon route that who hurt you?
Never.
For context, Kyrios, Xeno has chosen that they have said that Masa Altar to Cave Bahamut to White Spear to Mirasame Altar to Crystal Sword to no. Those of you who are listening, don't you ever do that, bro. That's your 10,000 steps in like 2 minutes.
I think that the Xenocat has deliberately chosen the worst possible route ever.
Feels about right.
Wait, after Crystal Sword, we warp out because clearly the moon's useless, check the giant, and then come back to the ribbon.
100%.
At this point, we might as well.
So, Kyrios, gotta ask you the same question. You do, I believe, have the option of going blue or red moon. How many of these blue moon seeds have you done, and which do you intend on entering into the tournament if you intend on doing so?
So I'm definitely entering a tournament. This is, I think, my 6th blue moon seed, and I've done 3 red moons plus Possum's last test seed that was effectively exactly red moon. So a good experience on both. I'm leaning towards blue. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm not a huge fan of boss hunts in general, and maybe it's just my luck with the red moon seeds, but 2 or 3 of the red moon seeds that I've done so far have been excruciating. And I'm up for punishment, but I'm not sure if I'm up for that much punishment. But we'll see. I'm going to do a couple more. Obviously, we've got the community races next week, and there's still a little more time. So still working on it.
Excellent.
Yeah,
You know what?
is one of the things that makes the red moon tougher is that it uses the YAML to limit the possible boss objectives and takes a lot of the friendlier ones off the table.
Mm-hmm.
I think of all the bosses that were here today, other than the Gauntlet and Golbez, which will always be there for Red Moon, how many of these, since you've done more Red Moon, how many of those other 6 bosses are even an option in Red Moon? Like Evil Wall?
I say Evil Wall, I believe, is the only one.
Yeah. So for those of you in chat, I will be seeing Red Moon next week for the 2 community races for everyone watching, so you'll get a picture of it then.
Again, I want to give a big shout out to you, Kyrios, for letting us restream you. Thank you very much for donating your time and for showing off some fairly well-run race. Again, your 5th place finisher overall, 124.01, not too shabby times, and hope to see you next week in the Red Moon.
I say thank you very much. It was very kind of you, not to mention that I cost myself probably 2 positions by buying coffins instead of Bacchus the first time through. But thanks, guys.
I'm not going to hate on you like that. Good job. Good luck to you next week and in whichever tournament you enter.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Again, that is Kyrios, our 5th place finisher. Just going to do a quick shout out of a couple of people who have finished. As we have mentioned, we have our other runners. We have NG Dave, who finished at 3rd, 120.19. Plumeria Knight 123.49. In 5th place, again, we had Kyrios, we just commentated with. We also have Cubs Rule 21, 6th place, 126.20. Brickety Brick, who is now in here. John Brickhead, our 7th place finisher. Overall, 3rd place finisher on Restream, 126.30. Tybalt, 126.46 in the 8th place. Fried, we have our Fred Doe, who is 127.05. And then we also have Rybon 129.22 at 10th, and Jay Bruncher with 135.29. GG's to them, and GG's to you, Brickety Brick.
Thank you, thank you.
So, DKC.
DKC.
You got some words that that you can say on the restream, by the way.
I'm sure Scott's listening somewhere. None of the ones I want to use. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's late. I'm tired. Took my kid to the shore. Yeah, she had a whole night. She went down to bed about 30 minutes before. You know, I've been in spot, like I've dealt with spots like this. And the smart thing to do, although it kind of worked out for me, was I should have used my, maybe taken an egg or went back into the Fey Marsh because I knew it was DKC because I had peeked it already. And then I was anchoring with Sid, and I could have just as easily anchored with Rydia since I had the Cursed Ring. And then once I kind of got my head out on the rear, and then realized, how to go ahead and kind of time the Cure 3 because Cure 4 is instant, Cure 3 is not, and kind of do the things. It all kind of worked out. But yeah, I'm really glad that whole debacle was on Restream. That fills me with so much joy that I might even have a beverage after this interview to enjoy the joy.
Stay hydrated, people, by the way. That's what he's doing. He's getting some water. We're going to stay hydrated.
Listen, I'm Irish. We do what we do. But
it's the same thing. It's water.
Yes.
It was rude for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is just a rude boss in a rude spot. And
yeah.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah. Yep.
The thing is that, you can never count a seed out. With all of those objectives just hitting in the overworld, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
We're just up here thinking, does the seed have a troll left, or is this just going to be super jazzed? Well, it turns out there was a troll waiting.
He's got jokes.
Yes, he's got jokes. I mean, it should have been a good, 7 aim faster. I mean, if I hadn't, I kept looking. So I had a hard time with damage at the beginning, and then when I got ready, I was like, ooh, an anchor, but I really didn't have any, attacking outside of, Sid with the Zeus Gauntlet, because Rosa can't equip it. And then when I got ready, I was like, alright, well, Sylph's going to be my extra DPS to go ahead and get me through, and I'll just figure out the anchoring later. Eddie, I think, has a base agility of 9, so if I could have just brought him back on. So I was even thinking, do I just go get him and have him hide? When obviously the anchoring worked out when I found the Curse Ring for sale. But yeah, there's a few things that I wouldn't mind going ahead and kind of redoing, and this is why we practice for the tournament in a very public way.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's the seed that happened.
And see, the really nice thing and the really good staple of a very solid runner is seeing the mistakes that you're making and knowing where and how you would fix it. So that is a very big thing towards you. The fact that you're seeing this, you know what, I made a mistake here, but this is how I can fix it. And as you mentioned, you even touched on something that I said to Kyrios, who took the fight against DKC, had as rough of a time as you did, wiped a couple of times. That Cure 3, you queue it immediately, and you have a good time. If you let it sit for a bit, kind of a little unfortunate, but again, you pulled off some really good runs. You ran through very quickly. One thing I want to ask about, though, was there ever a time before hitting the moon that you wanted to go and check maybe a cheeky package check? Because we had most of our runners except Solaris who had found who'd gone through the package. No one checked it. I'm very sad. Did that ever cross your mind?
I didn't feel all that behind. That's a row situation. And when Darkness is still out there, 5 of the bosses were found immediately. And then with Darkness Crystal, you have access to 8 bosses, including the giant. I mean, it's ridiculous. I didn't at that point. I had held off on Zod. Because once I got Pan, I was like, all right, there's a lot of chances to go ahead and get the Baron Key, and I can go ahead and route, one into the other, and I'm glad that I did because that Assure could have been a little bit rude. Even with the Demon, I was really happy with that Demon's fight. Like, I probably just should have just reset out, but I'm like, either we're gonna get this in one cycle or we are resetting. I felt really, really good about that. So, outside of the absolute mess at the actually no, I'm thinking about it. Maybe I should have after the whole mess with DKC. No, it wasn't really on the table. I had the one-offs with Luca and Package, and and Tower Key I had found up on the moon in the Bahamut spot, so that kind of got factored into the one-offs once I did kind of face checking everything on the moon.
Fair enough, makes sense.
And I've asked our other runners this, so I'm going to ask you the same thing, Brickety Brick. It's a twofold question. One, do you intend on entering the tournament, and which seed are you going to enter, Red or Blue Moon? Additionally, of these flag sets, how many have you practiced of the Blue Moon, and how many practiced of the Red Moon?
This is probably my fifth or sixth Blue Moon that I've done. I'm entered into Blue Moon. With Adamant Cup, I was a Z fight away, and also remembering that Tella has Stone away from making it into brackets. ZZ4 was around the time I started playing. Just qualifying for that felt good. I would like to have a chance to get decently deep into a tournament. And when you look at the names that are automatically locked in for Red Moon, on top of people that are going in there, I'm not there yet. I would like to be that kind of runner one day. I am not that runner yet. I'm getting there. I get a little better every time. I'm not there yet. So I am entered into Blue Moon. Taking the kiddo to Disney from the 13th to the 21st. So I am hoping that there's no bad weather in Philly or Orlando on the 21st. And I'm hoping that my opponent doesn't mind like a 10 o'clock p.m. Start time at that point. Also jet lagged, or not jet lagged, but 8 days with an 8-year-old in Disney. I don't know.
How are you going to have energy to run after that?
I mean, listen.
Be in Blue Moon, and if it's 10 p.m. Eastern on not a work night, I'm down.
All right, well, that's one. I appreciate you. This could be some fun routing, I'm sure. Probably looking at Waterfall for the Darkness Crystal, or or Dempsey and Basement for the Odin Throne. I mean, I don't know what kind of mood.
We'll find out when we get there.
Ooh, we'll see. But that is the plan is to go ahead and do Blue Moon. That's the plan.
All right, and again, I want to thank you very much for letting us restream you. Thank you for signing up to be shown off. And again, thank you for a great, fantastic run. You showed off a couple of different party strats that we saw from other people, and I'm excited to see you again. I've seen you from your ZZ4 to I didn't see your AC run, but I saw you had a lot of potential in ZZ4, and seeing that you're going for it really big, and I'm excited to see you in the Blue Moon.
I appreciate you both. Thank you, Xeno, for tracking 4 people, which is always a delight. Harumph, nicely done with no harp, very on brand, and appreciate you all very much.
Take care.
All right, goodbye.
And again, that was Bricky Brick, and we are joined by our last finisher on stream, but definitely not least, Fiery Blizzard. GG's on the fantastic shenanigans that was that seed.
Shenanigans.
Exactly. But I like looking at the string of finishes that happened like in a span of a minute in the race channel. I was like, this means gonna be something.
Bam, bam, bam.
DKC had my number.
I mean, it's kind of a consequence of, with this boss hunt, you're probably going to need Darkness Crystal to get the job done. Putting it behind a spot that so many people are going to want to wait to go to, yeah, we're going to get a bit of convergence in times and routing, I think.
I should have waited instead of trying to do Cure 2 Pot Roulette, but I needed about one more level. Just kind of a shame.
You gave it a really good try, and like you said, it's almost cruel that you were almost there but not quite, because each time I could feel you thinking, this time it's going to work out, this time it's going to work out, and if you'd been able to pull it off, that would have given you a huge leg up.
Yeah, unfortunately. What was annoying was because I went to dwarf after that, I was like, oh, there's an elixir. Cool. Could have used
What?
that.
What? You want key items? Nah, not in this seed.
Oh, that demist just drained everything though. Just pulling out another white spear was just
Right.
Well, we commented on that. We saw that. I'm like, okay, this seed definitely has some jokes now.
Oh man.
I was like, I should have reset out of that, but I'm just like, I just want to think about what exactly I want to do right now.
We're
No,
here
I've
now.
done the same.
Oh
I've
yeah.
taken about 30 seconds of time where it's like, I'm not sure what I want to do next. Let's just auto walk out of this and figure it out.
And you know what? That is a big thing as a runner too. It's just because, like, we know we got to go fast and we got to run through this, but there are times where you need that time to reset your brain. Just go, I didn't like what just happened. Okay, deep breath, collect, and okay, now we got a plan. And now you take that extra time, and it could be a very big swing for you because it could change you from wanting to FF out of a seed to wanting to complete a seed. And that's a big mental thing that a lot of people don't really consider when you're running these seeds.
Yep. Although I think the moment really hit me when after Demas going down, and I think it was after Demas, going to Tombra and seeing the one item I've been looking for the entire seed, which was a cursed ring.
You were the only one who found it, I think.
Yeah, well, my plan was, okay, I'm going to find a cursed ring somewhere, right? And then I'm going to have Sid be an anchor, and then I'm going to have Iridia do something, because I had no AoE. It's like, I don't really want to have, in a situation where I'm at, like, football, an alt gauntlet, that I really want AoE, and I don't have it. But, did anyone find where the alt gauntlet was?
No,
Nobody did.
it could have been at Harp, it could have been at Package, it could have been on the Giant. We never saw it.
I think Judge Joe would know if they were in the Giant, because I know he did that.
I'd be very curious to find out where it is and who did which checks. Speaking of, you get that package check. You did not check it for a cheeky boss. Was there a reason behind it? Did you just kind of like think, does this take too long? Like, what was the reasoning for kind of like, quote, fading the package?
At that time, I think I had 3 bosses that I needed. So, what, you enter the hook route with 5 bosses already checked in the overworld, and so you needed 2 more, and I just never found any. So it's like, even if package is a boss, it doesn't get me anywhere, because all the bosses I've seen, so, up to that point, none of them were objectives. And so darkness is hiding somewhere, and it's obviously not going to be a package. So it was just one of those things where, with the knowledge I knew, unless there was another required boss at Twin Harp, then if package even hit a boss, it wouldn't have mattered. So
Makes sense.
True, very true.
I
So
guess
I've asked. Go ahead.
no one else checked package either.
No one did.
So, nobody had time for that.
I'm curious.
Dathis wanted it. Dathis wanted it. But no.
Actually, so we got a little shout out from our tracker. Peeking spoiler chat. The harp had the gauntlets, so that would have been nice long music from Final Fantasy I's airship.
Yes.
So I've asked everybody else. We're going to end the interview with this last question, Fiery. It's twofold. 1, are you going to be entering the tournament? If so, which flags? And 2, how many of these seeds have you run, and of blue and red, respectively?
I will, assuming that my move doesn't go catastrophically wrong.
Here's crossed.
Yeah, because I am moving on Monday, so hopefully that goes smoothly. I am planning to hide in the Blue Moon, mainly because I want a chance to win, like at least one match.
You're right there with you.
It's one of the, yeah, it's like I think I started running this after Adamant Comp, or like at the end of Adamant Comp, and it's like I see what Pankraz and Rybon and what they're doing in the asyncs. I'm just like, they're on a different level. Just acknowledging that, right? And then
Yeah.
I think is that, and to your second question, I think this is either the 3rd or 4th Blue Moon seed I've played. I played my first one on ladder today, which was a treat because I think the other 3 times I played Blue Moon Seeds, they were all 33 out of 34s. So it's like, okay.
Dude.
So
We
object.
saw your restreaming name scheme, so yeah, that explains that.
Yep. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope. I'm trying to have fun with it. This isn't particularly my favorite flag set. I just don't particularly have a good concept of boss hunting. When the best to face check because I like to just kill everything in my path if I can.
And you know what? The more you watch other people, especially if you rewatch this VOD back, which I'd suggest you do, because we had some really good other things that happened, objective-wise. Additionally, other information never hurts to crowdsource from your fellow runners. Commander Leonhardt, for example, gave me some great insights. It's learning the face check versus everything else. Also, hard agree was a very hard lesson for me, as well as controlling the inner loot goblin, which is my still biggest problem, and I refuse to acknowledge it. We don't talk about the goblin in the room.
Good news
I
about
was just
Blue.
looking for a cursory the entire time, and it was just sitting in a shop.
Good news about Blue Moon. T Wildish will reward that loot goblin more.
Yes, it will.
Although it's, I don't know. Part of me is wishing that there wasn't Cecil because I am
Sure.
certainly one of those like people who don't particularly like the fact that Eblin Castle is basically automatically go to into Wildish especially if you have a Cecil.
It is a thing, to be sure, but like
Absolutely.
you cannot deny the power of Crystal Sword Cecil or even just Excal Cecil.
Well, yeah, I didn't even go to Eblin Castle because like, okay, I just got an Excal, I don't need to do that. And apparently there were 2
Yeah,
crystal
that's-
swords in there.
I know there was one crystal sword there, and the pan had the second one.
Okay, yeah, because I got the one from the pan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was accounting not dragon at package, so it was not the alt gauntlet.
Yeah, so we had, as it was mentioned, the alt gauntlet was sitting at the harp, so it's a good time for that to be there.
Oh, the gauntlet. Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So again, I really want to say is you're saying, oh, well, some of the times you're putting up here versus some of the other runners. Just as an FYI, you're only about 15 minutes behind where our first place finisher happened tonight. So 15 minutes in a race with this wide variety of players and just this caliber and these flag sets, it's still really good. Don't ever think like, oh, I'm not doing so great. 15 minutes is a very small margin, and you're hitting a really good gap.
Yeah, like I'm not. The only thing I'm upset about it in terms of how I played was DKC, and that's just that's just a lesson that hopefully I take away from the seed.
And that's the important thing, and that shows a lot of growth as a runner.
But like I said, I'm looking forward to the tournament, even if I go in too. I just hoping to have fun. So
that's the main goal, and all.
Always, that first and foremost. When you're there, I'll be there with you, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Again, that was Fiery Blizzard. GG's to him for letting us restream him, our last place finisher on stream. But again, still fantastic runners. Give all of our runners a lot of love, follows, and give them a lot of praise, because again, the sort of talent we have in this community is just going to get nothing but better and better, especially after the more that they play. And they've just been showing fantastic growth. As I can see from the last few years, it's gone nothing but up, and even with helps of some of our sages in the Discord, which if you guys are not a part of it, 100% should be. You have so much knowledge and information that we can get through here. But speaking of getting through, we have in fact gotten through our commentary for the night, Commander. We are not done here. You get to tell us where we're going, but we're going to talk about tomorrow first. We have Baron's Hero's Journey with Alchemy and Vitasia on comms. Xenocat is reprising the role of Tracker again, and we have Ribbon Quest, a first-time restreamer, so check out on that and give them a whole bunch of hype up. 3 p.m. on Free Enterprise Prime, Eastern Standard Time, so make sure that you go and check that out. Excited to see that. For tonight, though, Commander, where are we headed off to?
We are heading off to a Klopfer, who's running a Red Moon Seed, which are the flags that will be during the community races next week. So get yourself a preview of what we'll be seeing next week, and hang out and support another member of the community. With that, pleasure being here, and you all had a great time in chat. I know I had a great time up here. Until next time.